but poetry is what got me through cancer. Sometimes I feel like the book wasn't written by me. It was really written through me. And also, creativity is a muscle. The more you use it, the more you gain. Or you're going to write the poem about love yourself.
So Taylor Swift album, is it her journal?
When you give up your agency to it, then you lose your voice. And then you sound generic like everyone else. And it's there for you to grab. But are you going to use it ethically? Or are you going to just sit there and say, write me a poem about love? It is important because you don't want to outsource your creativity, right? You need to have that spark. It comes from your head.
Hey, our guest today lost everything to cancer, her hair, her job, her hope. But when she picked up a pen, she found her power. Born in Brazil with dyslexia, she turned words from her biggest struggle into her greatest strength. Now she's written a book called Beneath the Surface, and that's helping people worldwide feel less alone. And she writes for anyone who's ever felt different, survived something hard, or wondered if their story matters. And today we're talking about turning your pain into purpose and why being real is the bravest thing that you can actually do. So please welcome a poet, fighter, and a living proof that the worst moments can become your greatest strengths, Luciana Fisher.
Hi.
You know, it's really awesome to have you here. Recently we were talking about your background in writing and that it doesn't come from nowhere, right? So could you tell me a little bit more about how you were writing to your parents?
Yes. So my grandparents are both writers, and they have published books, their whole lives. And it's so funny how life brings it all together, right? Like the dots connect at the end. My grandparents, both of them, have books that they created, but they always donated the proceeds of the book to charity. And this is now something that I'm doing, and so it comes full circle. But yes, I used to write short stories for them when I was a little girl, and they would be so excited, and my grandmother would love it. So writing has always been the common thread of my life. I've always been writing. It's just that when I got to New York, I started working corporate, and that took me away from writing.
For sure. And so I know that your main strength is poetry. And could you tell me a little bit more why poetry?
That's funny. So my main strength is not necessarily poetry. I write monologues, and I write scripts, and I write short stories, and I have submitted work for publications all over the world in competitions. But poetry is what got me through cancer. It was the tiny little bits of things that you could accomplish. Writing a novel, writing short stories can take quite a long time. And when you're trying to process your feelings and the things you're going through in the cancer battle, poetry was the correct form for me, for my experience. So it was something that I could begin and feel it through it and reach an end. So that's how it came about. It was, moments that I was going through chemotherapy or moments that I was going through radiation. So I would have that inspiration. That's something that sometimes I feel like the book wasn't written by me. It was really written through me.
That's really awesome that you mentioned it, because a lot of people, when they get themselves in very deep places, what they do is they try to distract themselves, either with alcohol, doom scrolling, or stuff like that. So they try to run away from silence. But you try to express yourself. You try to, put something out there. Can you explain why?
Absolutely. So I was afraid. And I think fear is a great motivator. I was afraid of my mortality. I was afraid, I'm so young. How could I have this illness? What could happen to me? So what is my legacy? Why was I here? What did I accomplish? What did I do? Yes, I bought a bunch of Chanel bags or a bunch of, things like travel, whatever it was. Like, it didn't feel fulfilling, and it felt really finite. So it was a big aha moment, an awakening call. And I wanted to write the book, and I wanted to give myself a goal. Like, I want to leave something behind. If I do not make it, at least there'll be something behind. And that's why even the donations of the book is in perpetuity. So my cancer returns tomorrow. I'm in remission now. But I don't make it, this will stay, and this will be my legacy, and this will carry out helping people for, generations to come, should the book do well and continue to sell. But definitely fear was my motivator, and wanting to really shine my light before it went out, you
Mm-hmm.
know. um, so yeah,
For
that's
sure, yeah.
it's really. Oh, by the way, it wasn't just the book. I
Mm-hmm.
ended up studying, going to NYU, studying economics, doing research.
Yeah.
So it was everything and anything that made my life bigger, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and better. It was like going at it to everything with a
Yeah.
hunger, like famine, you know, that I
Chasing
didn't have before because I was just surviving before, I wasn't living.
chasing great things. That's really inspiring. You know, that's really dope. And so also, you said poetry tried to express you. And so, do you think poetry actually helped you? You know, and what was that scream that you were holding for a very long time, and that poetry kind of tried to explain, like express it?
Oh my God, trauma. Are we all carrying tons and tons of trauma on our shoulders? You know, childhood trauma, abandonment, neglect, and there's so much. Body dysmorphia, you know, feeling lesser than, or, you know, not tall enough, not skinny enough, not pretty enough. I mean, you name, there are thousands of screams within me, and I believe in most people that we are desperate to let out.
Mm-hmm.
And lately, more than ever, we don't, because we have been losing, you know, our authenticity because we want to fit in. If you look into an Instagram feed, it's almost like everybody's turning into the same person. So, you know, that to me, it was very, very important to let out those big, massive screams in order to return to myself and own who I am.
Yeah, I think that's. I'm thinking that the thing that you mentioned, that a lot of people are actually trying to fit in and they don't hear the voice that is authentic to themselves, and that they try to copy someone rather than to be themselves. And were you trying to copy someone at some point,
Absolutely,
or?
absolutely. I feel like I spend most of my life doing that. I spend most of my life looking at this celebrity or that person or that, um, I'm gonna do my hair like that. I'm gonna do my outfit like that. We all do, growing
Yeah.
up, we are looking for validation. We're looking, especially nowadays with social media, right? We are fed this narrative that we must be better than we are, and
Mhm.
there's always someone greater around the corner. There's an outdoor here, an outdoor there. Instagram is in our pockets telling you're not good enough, you're not good
Yeah.
enough, or TikTok, everyone has more, and so you're comparing your life to the highlights of someone else,
Yeah,
or
totally.
of everyone else. So yeah, I had that as well, and it was through cancer, through losing my hair, as you said before, through losing my eyelashes, through
Wow.
losing it all and stripping it down to being bare, that I was able to be in silence. Also because I didn't want to be seen quite a bit.
Mhm.
It was hard for me, but it is in silence that you can hear your inner voice.
Mhm.
And now we don't have a lot of silence, right? It's notifications everywhere, sound everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah, and what kind of helped you to shift from that mindset of comparing your own stuff to highlights of someone else?
Permission. There is actually a poem in this book called Mission. It speaks about permission. And cancer gave me permission. Permission to be myself, permission to write, permission to go and perform around New York at the New York Poetry Cafe and at the Bowery, and, not be ashamed of it, and really owned that my creativity has always been in the closet. Like I put
Mhm.
it there and I locked it, and I didn't, because it bothered people whenever I would, come out. Everybody wants conformity. Everybody should look the same, sound the same. Like, so whenever I would do something like, you wrote that? Like, why? Like, right? So I gave myself permission after cancer. You know what? Nobody's going to die for me or with me. I'm going to
Yeah.
die alone. So I'm also going to live life by my own
Mhm.
decree.
Be independent, 100%. And so you said there was ups and downs in your life, and there's definitely moments to go through. And during those moments, were you aspiring by somebody, or was there times where you were looking up to some people? If so, who were they?
If I was looking up to some people?
Yeah, or if there are people that you aspire to be like, and why?
Oh my God, so many people. People, you know, I guess like people who survive every day, people that are able to bear their hearts, put it on paper and write everything and still come home and be loving, be soft, be, I guess to remain soft in a world that it's becoming harder and harder and more disconnected, to remain compassionate, to remain empathic, to remain soft and to be courageous, to be outside of my comfort zone. I will make many mistakes. Probably, maybe some people will think this book is horrible. It's my first, and I'll make the next and the next.
Mhm.
So I hope to make many mistakes. I hope to be the person that has, I have 1,000 mistakes behind me. But look at me now.
I'm so glad that you're saying this, because there's so many people in this world that they're even afraid to write the first sentence, that they are so obsessed of making this perfect that, okay, I need this sentence to be perfect. Even me, sometimes when I write, I'm like, okay, I need to write a perfect script, and then I end up writing nothing. But could you explain how did you made that shift in your mindset that I'm gonna make that many mistakes, and how can you help other people to kind of shift that mindset as well?
I feel like you read my book already. So there is a poem in here called Expectations, and while writing it, it was like a mantra to me, and that's why I feel it's so relatable. Like there's something here already. We've been here for a few minutes, or a little while, and there's already so many poetry in here that I said, like, this is perfect for you. So it's called Expectations, and it says ground your expectations, and it says that like a mantra several times. Like, you do not need to write a masterpiece. You can you can write a poem as ordinary as this one when it lands on the page, but the creativity, it is the process that art lives in, of the process of creation. And also, creativity is a muscle. The more you use it, the more you gain. So if you're not afraid to write that first sentence, it will lead you to the next and the next and the next. Maybe it won't be perfect, but if you ground your expectations, you can then, continue the next day. The next day, you can also make a commitment to yourself. I'm going to write for 5 minutes every day, and that will lead to growth.
Mm-hmm. So to the aspiring writers who are just starting out, the writers, what is their routine, or what is the kind of first baby steps that you would recommend to take?
This is so personal. It's hard because the reason I say this is because sometimes I can write an entire piece because of inspiration. It's like hearing a voice in your ear. I don't know where, a lot of musicians say from the place wherever the music comes from, the lyrics come from. Poetry is kind of the same. I mean, poetry is low-key music, right?
Yeah.
Lyrics.
Beats.
So it comes in the moment, and sometimes it comes in its entirety. There's a poem here called Makeup that I was walking out of the house and someone said, "Are you taking makeup?" And on a daily basis, I don't wear makeup. So I was like, oh no, I don't wear makeup. I was going to go out the door. Instead of going out the door, I immediately returned back to the house, like to my bedroom, like wrote the whole thing at once. But it doesn't always happen this way, right? So if you don't have that connection, that alignment that feels like it comes natural to you, then you need to practice. And it is something that you can learn and develop. So you can do 5 minutes every day, make a commitment, write in the morning, journaling, begin with journaling, write in the morning, write in the evening. And journaling, it's a powerful thing for you to process your feelings, your reflections, but also later on it can become novel, short stories, poetry. Look at the journals of Laura Ingalls. She gave us the whole entire collection of the Little House on the Prairie, and it was the story of their lives.
Do you think that journaling was the most impactful that you've read?
Oh no, there's
not,
so many
what do you
extremely
think?
journaling. I mean, the entire Taylor Swift album, or I think it is, right? Her entire, it is from her diary, from her journaling, and that's how important it is. The scientists that separated the atoms, like her journaling was what led to Agatha Christie had like her grocery shopping on one side for her journaling, and a murder mystery on the next page.
So Tyler Swift album is it her journal?
Well, I mean, she
Never
just
know it.
launched the
Mhm.
that's poetry society
Mhm.
album, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I love her. But yeah, it's a lot of poetry and a lot of journaling, and that's why she can put those Easter eggs into her songs. It's because she was journaling that day. She was dancing on a couch, you know, with the two airplanes flying. So the necklaces they were wearing is the attention to the details. And since you can't record it all, if you're journaling every day, you're giving yourself a lot of material to draw from.
Yeah, that's very awesome point. Yeah, and how did journaling benefit you personally?
Journaling. So journaling to me,
Yeah.
even though I am all for it, it comes and goes. Like I go through cycles. I would love to sit here and say that I am the most committed journaling person, like TS or any Agatha Christie, but no, I'm not. I do my best. I try to light up a candle and get some tea. Okay, I'm gonna write in a journal now. So sometimes it happens, it flows really well, and sometimes I have resistance to it.
Mhm.
So my writing, it is a combination of pure insight and inspiration that comes in a moment, and my painful um, um, inability
Mhm.
to be fully committed to journaling. And when it does happen, I can draw from it.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you heard of a director, Robert Rodriguez?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
So I was recently actually watching a podcast with him, and he was also talking about he's a big journaling fan. He has like books of journaling, and the thing that he said is that like this is the only way you can actually remember everything, And I
It
really,
is.
yeah. And so, kind of like, yeah, we're talking about journaling and writing and how you want to impact the poetry and so many things that you mentioned that actually is able to help future writers to, ground their expectation about writing. And, um, how do you think words can change minds or entire generations, in your opinion?
Words are everything. So, I felt this. I knew this since like growing up as a little girl. I remember not wanting to say "I love you" to anyone because to me it was just like that's something sacred and it's very important. You know, you can only use it
Mm-hmm.
when you mean it. So and having my grandparents as writers and having the intensity of the words or ever being present. And being dyslexic, there's an issue there as well. So words for me were very sacred. I need to hold on to them and to respect them. So words can carry out. You can destroy someone with a sentence. You can
Mm-hmm.
traumatize them for life, or you can build them for life. You can give them the inspiration, that little wing, that little wind beneath their wings, that they will never forget a sentence and they will carry for life. And you can start revolutions. You can start constitutions, found countries. Words are everything as
Mm-hmm.
a society is what connect us. We are not mushrooms connected through, but words
Socializing.
is and energy is what
Mm-hmm.
connect us, right?
For sure. And, I guess writers do want to persuade and change with their wording, and it's the way you frame it. A lot of the times, a lot of
Personal voice.
personal voice as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we're losing that, aren't we?
Yeah.
So I recently had my professor, Thomas Campbell. Hi, professor, at NYU, and great professor, by the way. And he was seeing some of the papers that I write, and he was like, "It's undeniable when Luciana writes because." And I was like, "Oh, professor, you already know my voice," and he was like, "Absolutely." So yes, when we all have a distinct way of speaking and a distinct writing voice as well, which unfortunately with AI seems to be dying out because everybody's you see the same words, the same usage, the same patterns. I am not against AI. I took a course at NYU for the ethic use of AI, which was really, really interesting. It is just that when you give up your agency to
Mm-hmm.
it, then you lose your voice and then you sound generic and you sound like everyone else.
Yeah, 100%. And so, kind of talking about AI, just like you mentioned. So And you also, you're saying don't mind AI, but I guess it's the way you use it. But how would you say you using it for writing or like for your
So
personal
you
use?
can use it for to help you edit. You can use it to as a sounding board for something that you want to create. You can use it to create an image for a poetry that you just wrote and you want to, give me a video. This is like the technology that we have today. It's like I'm not going to tell you not to use a typewriter, right? I'm not going to tell you not to use a computer or a calculator. AI is here. It's real and it's going to stay.
Yeah.
It's how we relate to it that really matters.
Mhm.
And if we can use for the greater good, then it's great. But if we use only to cheat through life, then we are not advancing ourselves. We are dumbing ourselves down, diluting ourselves. But yeah, you can create a video quickly now for a poetry that you wrote. You can come up with concepts for a cover of your book. You can, give me so many words that rhyme with that word instead of having to go to an old-fashioned, or a rhyming thing. Like you can have, it's at the tip of your fingertips and it's there for you to grab. But are you going to use it ethically, or are you going to just sit there and say, write me a poem about love?
Yeah.
Or are you going to write the poem about love yourself and then edit with it, or act
edit.
as my editor, or
Mhm.
there's a difference. There's a big
100%.
difference.
And so, as a writer, are you afraid of being replaced by AI?
I Yes and no. What I am afraid of is that we are going to become so disconnected from one another that it won't matter anymore. Because as humans, we are so complex. I can hate and love my mother on the same day 3,000 times. I can say yes and no to things. There's duality, there's complexities, there's layers to us. We are not binary, as AI can be, and really lie to you and make up things right there. And humans have that.
Yeah.
You know, um,
Complexity.
I don't think that they can come up with the emotions and the way we have. For the experiences that we have with one another, the breakup, the heartbreak. I mean, has AI had the heart broken? Was ever dumped by
Yeah.
a boyfriend and had to, eat a bunch of chocolate and ice cream at night with friends over? Well,
Yeah.
you like crying and
Yeah,
your
yeah,
nose
yeah.
running.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's life
Exactly.
experience.
Yeah, just ups and downs for sure. And so I really like how you said AI is binary, because it's ones and zeros. It's either yes or a no, right? And so actually, I recently saw Mark Rubin. It's a great musician, very creative person, and so he was mentioning that AI will never be like humans because
Wait,
humans. Huh?
Mark Cuban or
Uh,
Mark Rubin?
Rick Rubin. Oh my
Oh,
God,
I'm
Rick
sorry.
Rubin. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Yeah, misspelled it. Yeah, he said that AI will never be like humans because humans are very unreasonable. AI cannot look at the moon and say, we can actually get there. We kind of like strive for impossible at all costs and trying the things that seem unreasonable. And like, do you agree with that statement, or have
For
you?
now, I don't
Mhm.
know. It's reading at a rate that is 7 times faster than the human can, and he can, soon enough be at point 10. It's exponentially developing and growing. But for now, I would think that we would not, that it doesn't have willpower, right? Or free will. It cannot choose on its own to, today, I am going to chart the course to the moon. You have to have a human person sitting in a computer and type it in, chart the
Mhm.
course to the moon. So it doesn't have the agency. We are the agents. But for now, since that it's developing so fast, how scary it would be if we go full Terminator. Like
Yeah,
soon enough.
Terminator is terrifying. Watched it a
I hope
longer
not.
time ago. Still,
I'll be
Skynet.
back.
I'll be back. Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, we're just talking about AI and how some writers can use AI to make themselves even lazier, and some using it to improve themselves, edit and stuff. And so, why do you think that it is important to have a work ethic as a writer?
It is important because you don't want to outsource your creativity, right? You need to have that spark. It is like that inception moment. It comes from your head, so you need to develop the characters, develop the story. Where is it going? Where you want it to go? Who is this person? What do they smell like? What is their hair like? What is the color of their eyes? Is there a birthmark? Is there a trait or a character trait? So there's so many things to think of. So you need to have passion for it, to being descriptive, and to also, it depends on how your mind works, right? Mine, it's dyslexic, so it's a little,
Mm-hmm.
so bear with me, that guys. But yeah, so I want to have a full scope. Sometimes I have the ending, like I already know. And it's funny because like I'll think of a novel that will have 3 parts, and I know exactly how the third book will end, and I know how it begins. But you have to do the work to fill in
Yeah.
the middle. You can just
100%.
go, "Hey AI, do it for me."
Yeah.
At least I haven't. If anybody like, I don't, and I don't think we want to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, we are the less we read, the less we act creatively, the more devoid of happiness we're becoming. So don't outsource, do it yourselves.
Yeah, yeah, totally, 100%. And so, you know, uh, you know, it's not that easy to write like an entire book, and so, and sometimes when we are not holding ourselves accountable, like you said before, we're not like committing, and you write one day, and then, 1 week passed, and you come back and you
But that's
forget
normal.
completely about it,
That's
what you were.
normal.
Do you think um, consistency is important, or you
It
think
is
coming
important
back?
to a point,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, to in my personal view, there are moments that I try to go, I'm going to be committed and I'm going to write every day. There's a poem in here called Pickle that it's really short, and it goes, I'm going to um, I don't remember now. God, write a poem a day or something like that. Once, therefore, this is my poem for the day. Huh?
We could actually like find it and give it a
Oh,
read.
I can't. Yeah, it's like very short. Oh my God. Let me see. I have the page here. And it is interesting because, all right, chapter 4, 26. And it goes like this. There we are. Oh, I just read the expectations here. Come on. Okay. To tickle my creativity pickle, I self-prescribed a dose of writing once a day. Once. Therefore, this is my writing for today. And
Wow.
this is it. But it
Wow.
is, but this necessarily, it is the playfulness of writing, right? So I wanted this to be here exactly for the reasons you mentioned before, for the self-doubt, for all of this stuff, because this was a moment of that. And in the behind the lines, I even go on and explain Pico is my playful take on the process of writing and the discipline it takes to keep it going. I wrote this poem during a moment when I needed to honor my commitment to writing, a self prescribed dose of creativity. It reflects how creativity can show up in unexpected, quirky forms and remind us that sometimes just showing up to write is more important than the result.
Yeah.
So, I totally understand this poem, and how silly and fun and playful it is. But that's the commitment right there. That was me showing up, staring at a blank page. Nothing was coming to my mind, and I still wanted to do something. And then that came, and I wanted to honor it. So it's here.
That's this is so beautiful because I was actually writing, the script myself, and I did have that mental block because if I needed to be perfect, I need this to be, get somewhere, or like I needed to, but then, and this is the thing that kept me blocked, and then I kind of, just like you said, allowed myself to play with it, to have fun, and just do whatever I can do, let it flow, and then everything's like That's why I really
Yes,
love
that
that poem.
flow, that flow
Exactly.
when you get it, and sometimes it takes a while to get there. So sometimes if you start writing the most nonsensical things, the sky is blue and now it's purple, and the oranges are on the floor, and the strawberries flying, and you start writing the most nonsensical things, and then suddenly you jump into the flow, and you just start writing, and then everything makes sense.
Hmm.
And but you needed to do that mental dumping,
Yeah, totally.
all of your thoughts in order to get the clarity you needed to go where your writing was
Hmm.
required to go, was asking of you to go.
Yeah, 100%. And so if there was a person who never knew what poetry is, maybe a foreigner who just like learns English and he's like, what is this even? What is it? Can you explain what poetry is and give it like a 30-second crash course on how another person from, I don't know, another country could jump in and do some little art for themselves?
I recently had to do that, so I am going to cheat a little bit on this answer.
Hmm.
Not cheat, but so I was working. I have been was working on an article about dyslexia with this doctor from the UK, and we were collaborating on this article. And he wanted to learn more about my poetry, and he just like, don't get it. I never understood poetry. I never understood. I don't quite get it. Can you help me? And I was like, super. I was still in the middle of my semester, like writing the paper and all of that. So I was like, you know what, just whatever poem you want, grab that poem, throw it into ChatGPT and say, dissect this poem for me, for all its nuances, for all its figurative language, the poetic devices, and it will strip it down to you bare to the bone. And if you do it enough, it will become your professor, your teacher, on how to start seeing the patterns and realizing the imagery and everything else. So it can be a crash course
Hmm.
into how to read poetry and not have it as face value, but really peel the layers of everything that it's packed into. Sometimes a haiku, it's 3 lines long, and
Yeah.
it is a universe inside of those 3 lines.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, the shorter it is, like the greater,
Sometimes it's
the
harder.
simpler.
Yeah.
And it is really hard to, dissect it into. And so, I've never written anything about poetry, but, and I'm pretty far from poetry, I would say. But I've heard that there's some beats or there is a rhythm. Could you tell me a little
Oh
bit more
yeah.
about
So,
that?
shout out to Mel, Melanie. She is. I will hopefully give her a handle. She is. I'm working with her and to do music, and also with Susan Brumel. That she's also another poet. That I still hold on to one of her poetry, because to me, the moment I read it, it's called Starlight in the Eyes, and I felt like this is music, and I'm still working on it, translating into music, asking my brother for help. It's very hard because he's the musician in the family. He
Mm-hmm.
lives in Canada. But there's a musicality to it. There's a rhythm to it. Spoken words has it. We almost memorize it as if he was reading music. And um, IMB meter. They all have it, but I personally write with that as well. And I was performing at the New Yorkers Poetry Cafe, and some of the artists that were there at the audience came up to me and said, would you like to write music? Because I think there's musical quality in the lyrics that you write. So from that, and Susan, and now working with Melanie on another one, soon enough we're going to be in the studio trying for Melanie to record my first song.
Wow,
Her voice is
first song.
beautiful. Yeah,
Nice.
her voice is magical.
That's really awesome.
And
Yeah, the
I went
beats.
to like a concert
Mm-hmm.
in God knows where in New York, like
Mm-hmm.
far out,
Yeah.
the city. I don't know if you know the band Live.
Live.
Live. I
No.
call it live. Some people call it
Live.
live. I don't know. I
Live.
ask Alexa, play live, and then she goes, playing live.
Plain live.
But
It reminds
I
me.
love this band. And
Yeah.
after this concert, I was on the train tracks and with my aunt and sitting there. And this girl just came out of the blue, sat right next to me. I've been looking for a singer for a very long time in a velvety voice. and then she just happened to sit right, synchronicity, like alignment, right? She sat
Yeah.
right next to me, and suddenly she's like, "Oh,
Wow.
I'm. Are you guys from Brazil?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm originally from Brazil." She's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm from South America too."
Wow.
And then she introduced herself and said, "I'm a singer." And then I was like, "This is destiny, meant to be."
Exactly. Yeah. What a great connection. And sometimes,
So
those,
it's coming, it's coming, it's brewing.
yeah, great
So
connections come from very, like, just like that. You didn't even
yeah,
expect it, for sure. Yeah. And so, one second. And kind of going back to writing and all of that. So, what does a perfect day look like for Luciana Fisher?
a perfect day. I will wake up and have coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the, you can take a Brazilian out of Brazil, but not Brazil out of the Brazilian. Coffee is our, we love coffee. It
Mm-hmm.
could be scalding hot outside. We're drinking
It's
scalding hot
house
coffee.
calling coffee.
But
To get in the mood.
definitely, sometimes, depends. I'd love to try to go to the gym, go in a sauna, and all that. But spending time with my dogs and writing is, it's, I think, the highlights of my day.
Mm-hmm.
Really, Stitch and Spidey, they are here in the book as well. I've written many poems about
Mm-hmm.
them, even a little children's book, which I may publish or not. But it's the
Very
adventures of
excited.
Arthur, Julia, and Stitch and
Mhm.
Spidey around Manhattan.
Yeah.
And it's a cute little children's book. But yeah, it's spending time
Huh.
with them. It's
Mhm.
definitely the best. The more solitude I have nowadays, the more I can listen to myself and know
Mhm.
what I really want. The more I'm surrounded with a lot of people, the more depleted of energy I feel, and the less I know what I want, and the more chatter, the more white noise I get.
Mhm.
So
For sure.
yeah, a cup of
Yeah.
coffee, my dogs, and maybe go outside for some grounding, put my
Yeah.
touch grass.
Touch some. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And so, what are the top 5 poets that you would recommend for people who are just getting started?
Oh my God, this is really hard because like right now, for example, you have such contemporary poets. They're so good, and you can go to the Bowery, you can go to the New Yorkers Poetry Cafe, and you can have such an enriching experience with poets. They're right here,
Mhm.
right now. There's this unfortunate this necessity to worship the dead and worship the poets that came before. And I'm not saying not to, because I mean Frost. I mean, you know,
Mhm.
there's in Portuguese in Brazil is such a reach. You know, Fernando Pessoa. To write to read poetry from, but I would say that you can find that on your own. Maybe you're gonna have to read it at school. Maybe to Dylan Thomas and Langston and all of that. Baldwin, you're gonna have to find that in your
Mhm.
growing up. But I would say start with people right now. Go to the Bowery. Go to the New Yorkers Poetry Cafe once it opens again. Right now, it's being held at the Lozada Center, and on the Lower East Side. And
So, this is a spot in New York where people read poetry?
traditional spot in New York. There's several. Yeah, poetry is out there. There's bars and there's uh, art shops. They host poetry nights and events there. And it's a lively community. There's hot people read poetry. Nicole's event that happens in Brooklyn, and so it is out there. Just go and see, and it's a very courageous and diverse and intriguing community that you want to be like, oh, I'm curious, I want to know more. So I would say there's Kai, there's Jaden, there's J Rose, there's Felicia, there's Donut, One Love. I think that's his handle on Instagram. Those are great. Scarlett,
Mhm.
Tooth Loose Poetry. I think that's her handle. It's amazing. There's Amber. There's people that I just saw recently. There's Poetopia. Poetopia is coming this weekend, by the way. You are invited.
Oh, awesome.
Poetopia is going
Oh,
to
yeah.
happen. It's like an event. I kind of like Coachella.
Mhm.
It's going to take place at the uh, Governor's Island on the
Oh.
12 and 13, and there's going to be several stages. So there's poetry is alive and happening,
Mhm.
and if you let it touch you,
Yeah. And so, as a beginner, right, I know nothing about poetry. Do you recommend to start learning from the classics, or as you said, from the moderns? And what are the benefits of one to another?
given the way things are right now, how I think first you find the passion, and then you're gonna sort out the grades, because honestly speaking, how many people are gonna pick up Shakespeare today and say, "Oh, I understood completely what this guy was saying"? Like, no,
Yeah.
this is archaic English. You're gonna have to dissect that. You're gonna have to take your time. So there's a difference in language in English. Language is alive and happening and changing. So as we see people now with a lesser vocabulary, or with less attention span, I'd say start with the contemporaries. Start with now, and then grow your love and your ability to dissect, to understand the figure of the devices, and then that I would say, because if you can relate, then it's easier for you to feel right, passion for it, or like, oh, this relates to me. This is interesting. I want to know more.
Sure.
Then suddenly sit to read
Just like
something that you're gonna be like, what was this guy on? What was he thinking?
somewhere from like, I don't know, 1300s, and like what are those words?
No, I
You know
mean,
what
you
I
can
mean?
go
Yeah.
Baldwin, and you don't have to go that
For
far out,
sure,
but
for sure.
still, like, you're going
Yeah.
to be more, because there's great, but Maya Angelou's, great poetry, and there's like poetry about cute little love, and there's poetry, political poetry, that it's heavy and um, well positioned and carries a voice. Poetry is
Totally.
protest as well. It's a hard punch. It doesn't have to be roses are red and violets are blue.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all lovey dovey.
So, do you think, art changes humanity's direction, or challenges the authorities, or
Absolutely. If you look throughout history, it has done exactly that. And yeah, I have some pretty revolutionary poems out there that I hope that ignites something in people, and I hope it sparks. I have one against poetry against hate, against misogyny.
why do you think that is, that poetry and art can actually spark those things and spark the desire for change for
Because
people?
we are humans, right? We did not come here to work. We weren't put in this earth to, I came here to be an airplane pilot. I came here to be, those are things that we created as we developed life, and we created those jobs to fulfill this greater image of where we are going. But if we strip down to the basics, to our core DNA, we came here to be alive, to create, right? And to be a dreamer, to have the time and space to, oh wait, I am going to write The Wealth of Nations. I am
Yeah.
going to
Exactly.
develop the theory of, I'm going to create the light bulb.
Just do
You
it.
need those moments, right? So as we becoming automated ourselves, we are losing sight of that, and we wake up, we work hard, party hard, wake up, work hard, party hard, and what else?
We're not,
What's fulfilling you?
Exactly.
So yes, poetry, art definitely gets there, and whatever it is, if it's doing photography or rearranging the furniture on the ground, or painting that canvas, writing poetry, singing, just using your expression, your self-expression, I think that's what fulfills people, not just money. I know tons of people with tons of money, they're all unhappy.
Yeah, and
The majority, okay, not all. Sorry, guys.
and do you think that it is important to be vulnerable in your art, and if so, why?
Absolutely, because vulnerability is the human condition, right? If I can't be authentic and honest and be open with you, then it's shallow and it's empty, and people pick up on that. People know, like, oh, this is BS. Like, if you really want to connect with people, I would say show up as you are fully. As my poem Make Up Here says, I no longer have fear of sharing that I am dyslexic. I no longer have fear of sharing that my handwriting is terrible, that I cannot spell for the love of me, due to my disability. I finally stopped pretending that I wasn't dyslexic and went into the Moses Center at NYU and said, I need accommodations. Here's my neurological report. So, all of that I was pretending before. There was an earlier question if I was pretending. Yeah, I was pretending all of that, not being that. So now I am in touch with that. So vulnerability opens the door to your authenticity and vice versa, in the way I see it. So be vulnerable. We don't need to have more walls put up. We are already divided enough. We are already cold enough. If anything, we need warmth back.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I really like how it kind of loops back to the previous topic that we talked about, how you aspire people who are still able to stay soft even to all the hard things that's going on in the world, So it's really awesome that we kind of looped back. And vulnerability and showing weaknesses to the world, gaining trust of others.
But there's strength in that. There's so much strength in that.
100%.
The moment that I realized, I said, you know what? I'm autistic. I'm dyslexic. And suddenly, your mind is always creating your reality, right? So once I dropped that facade and really, now I'm connecting with dyslexic people everywhere, meeting other dyslexic poets. So it's kind of like open up my ability to connect with that. Was before I was, sorry, which before as if I was not pretending not to be, I didn't want to see her, didn't want to hear it, and that created a block. And now it has opened a world of opportunities to me, so
Totally.
hopefully I will be working with many other dyslexics. And if you go look throughout history, there's some great people that were dyslexic, Steve Jobs or Einstein. So we are not in a bad pool of people.
Yeah, totally. And I think that vulnerability is the thing that helps you connect with other people, because they see, oh, you're a human too. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's really, really awesome.
You drop the facade.
Yeah, exactly. You drop those walls and all of that. And so, talking about that, the question that I have is, what is the day that you'd want to relive?
Oh my God, the day I would love to relive would be, there are a few. There are some extremely joyful moments in my life that I would love to relive. When I first arrived to New York, actually, let's back it up. The day before my trip first coming to New York, the excitement, the palpable, like I can still feel it, that. And then getting on the plane for the first time to come, and I remember walking in Manhattan and not being able to look down, to just look up for the buildings and the skyscrapers. And this person just yelled like in my ear, "Wake the fuck up. You're in New York."
Yeah, it is really New York.
So I was like, that was a shock.
Yeah.
But it was the moment that I really realized I'm in New York. I got to get going. I got to walk faster. So that was a moment to relive my brother's birth. I would love to relive again. Now he's 25 years old. He's not a baby anymore.
Wow.
But yeah, those are definitely moments that I would like to relive.
And how do you think they shaped you and how you live day-to-day life?
So what do you mean? The days that I would like to relive? How they shapes me?
Yeah, how did they impact that? I'm guessing that those are like one of the happiest memories that you store in the back of your head, and they definitely, for example, for me, whenever I feel a little bit down, or I go like, sometimes I do go back to those memories, and you know what? Like, it's not that bad. I have so many things to be grateful for, and so many great things has happened to me, and that's is just gives me a new perspective on the world and on the on bad situation that I'm in, whatever it is.
So I have this photo. I went to Paris with two of my friends, Ricieri and Petrus, and they live in UK. But we met in Paris, and I have this photo where Petros is looking at me. I'm on the ground, in front of the Champs-Élysées, like right in front of the Eiffel Tower, and I'm on the ground, and I fell to the ground because I was laughing so hard,
Wow.
so hard, and I was so happy. The epitome of joy and happiness in one person, in one bowl of right here in my chest, and it just bursted, and I just started laughing. So that to me, that's the epitome of, like, I look at a photo and I can feel like light coming from within me, and like, and the photo is so funny because the boys are looking at me like, what's wrong with you? And I was just genuinely happy to be with them and to be in Paris at that day, that time. So yeah, I revisit that when I want to feel that sentiment of joy, for sure.
For sure, yeah, 100%. Got it. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So I still have a couple questions that we still have not touched. You want to, okay, and so we talked about what days you want to relive, but
I wouldn't believe I felt it coming in.
what are the days that you'd want to forget, and how did they shape you?
I'd like to forget that was diagnosed with cancer. To forget that day for sure. So in one side I have when my brother was born, right? That I said before, a date that I would like to relive. But I also have the date my older brother passed away. When he died, he was killed in gun violence in Brazil. Unfortunately,
Wow.
he was 14 years old. I was 12 to 13. So that's a moment that I would like to not, if I could go back in history in time and delete a day or change things, I would change that.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And one second. We definitely, those are not great moments, and yeah, and how, from all of those moments, what were the things that helped you overcome them, except poetry, like we already said? Is there like some mental tricks or
So I've been going to a psychiatrist,
Mhm.
Dr. Gus, for 20 years.
Oh,
So
this is
that helps a
okay.
lot. I have some friends of mine that say, Luciana, you never confess to us. Like, you don't have that girl talk that it's dumping all your problems to someone
Mhm.
else. That's not me. But that's because I have Dr. Gus for 20 years. So, I talked everything out with her, and so I don't have to be dumping my problems onto other people or friends. And then so I have that therapy, and then I have writing and poetry.
Yeah,
So
right.
those are my outlets.
Sure.
But I also talk to myself a lot.
Yeah.
I do. I talk to myself in the mirror. I talk to myself when I'm walking. I feel that there's a higher self within me, and then there's all my other selves, and they are always at war with one another, and like, I want to do this, but the other one's like, no, you shouldn't do this, because and then the other one tries to convince, and it goes on and on and on until the higher self is like, okay, all of you stop, it's a no, or it's a
That's a
yes.
decision.
Get
Yeah, yeah,
it. So I do. My mental process is
yeah.
like funny.
I'm glad you mentioned it, and I'm glad that I'm not alone.
Oh no, I have the voices in my
Definitely.
head.
Yeah,
Trust
yeah,
me. Eat
yeah.
that piece of chocolate. No, come
No, I
on.
can't.
You
No,
already had
no.
two. That's enough.
Yeah.
So I'm negotiating with myself at all times.
And so, did you, by any chance, did you get a chance to take a look at that one Instagram account that I have sent you before, the King of Chemo? Yeah.
I do not. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
okay. No, it's completely okay. So basically, um, it's a creator, and he creates those. So he also diagnosed with cancer, and he created this page, the King of Chemo, and it has a lot of followers, and that's his entire thing, that he wants to, guys, at this time, follow me, and he gathers the community, and he has around like 10 million people, and he helps to gather all the people to help and fight with cancer. And yeah, I just wanted to ask your take
Cool.
on that.
So, but it is like he tries to help other people, or he is
Yeah,
going through chemo,
he
or other people that
so
he's.
he was diagnosed with a terminal, like, head cancer. I don't know
Oh.
the medical term for that, and he's trying to change an entire, like, medical ecostructure to make it more accessible to other people and to develop it in other, more ways. It's just like a little thing that I wanted to also talk about.
I
like,
would
in the
love to look into it, and
sure,
find out. I should have
100%.
looked into it before.
Yeah, 100%. No,
Sorry,
that's
it's
all
been a
good.
crazy week.
No,
but
yeah, 100%.
I would like to see more about that, and there's so much more that we can do. I think, like, when I say that I launched the fund that I launched, Luciana Fisher's Beneath the Surface fund for survivorship and neurodivergency, which is what the proceeds of the book goes to. 5% goes to neurodivergency, which is dyslexia. I want to work with the Neurodiversity Alliance, and for the cancer side, also 5% with the breasties.org, which is the one that I started speaking with Ali. Nothing is set and done, so I can't really say, but it doesn't mind, I guess, mentioning their names. Go and Google. They are an amazing communities out there. The Diversity Alliance has chapters at NYU, Yale, Brown University, and they help the students help other kids in the community that are struggling with dyslexia or neurodivergency. I also, in the breasties.org is a beautiful community as well. They have a camp every year where all women get together and they participate in this community building. I wanted to go this year badly, but I had a surgery on June 6th, so I could not go. Hopefully I will go next year. But from what I've seen so far, it's a company, a nonprofit that I would like the book to beneficiate from, being a beneficiary.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you still give back to those communities, and it's really,
like
really
your
awesome.
friend, like the chemo. I think this is the common thread. Like, once you go through something that it's so, and people are like, oh, I knew you the day before. You were hanging out. We just went to, I don't know, Burning Man or something together not so years ago. And now you're here talking about healing and this. And yeah, but when you go through cancer, when you go through something that's so extreme and transformative, you really change. And it's weird would be if you didn't change.
Yeah.
Like when you're facing your mortality, you're facing the possibility of not seeing your friends, your family. Like, what if this doesn't go my way? And you're going through treatment, your hair is falling, you're shedding every single layer of who you were holding on or believing you were your entire life. So there's no add-ons. Everything is stripped and removed. And if you can go through that and transform somehow to the other side, that you are more empathic, you are more compassionate, you want to help, you want to become a better person. And so, like I said before, leaving a legacy behind, what am I here for? What is my life for after cancer? If I don't have a legacy to leave behind, I didn't help anyone. I came here just to buy things and own things and just see things. I don't think that's sufficient or enough. Not for me, at least. So creating the book gives me that outlet, and the outlet to help other people, to create that ripple effect, that pay it forward. That
Totally.
So like him, I also went through my own transformation, and that's the humanity of it all, right? Hopefully, I would love to believe that we could make this shift happen without having to go through cancer or something so heavy, like, or any illnesses. But unfortunately, sometimes that's what's necessary for us to have the wake-up call.
Yeah. Beautiful last words, Luciana. Thank you so much, guys. This was Luciana Fisher.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching.